Hello, hello, happy Friday. Welcome to Sports Performance Mindset. Or this is not that class, just kidding. It's Functional Fitness Friday. Sorry, I'm just not used to teaching this class yet. So it is Functional Fitness Friday. We're gonna do a circuit, 5 movements, 3 rounds through, 45 seconds of work, 15 seconds of rest. And in terms of equipment, we do need a mini band if you have one, and or a resistance band. So I actually have this one today. So this one has handles on it. We don't need handles, but if you have a band that's long and not a loop and a loop one, that's what we're looking for today. So I'm gonna go ahead and get started real quick with what we're gonna do. So we're gonna start with a mini band side steps here. So we're gonna put that mini band on around the knees, and we're gonna do some side steps here. So we're gonna start on one side of our space. Feet are hip width apart to start. Slight bend of the knee, hips are pushed back. We're gonna take a baby step out and a baby step in. So we're gonna out, in, out, in. Our feet are not gonna get closer than hip width. We're leading with that knee. That's gonna activate our glutes. So lead with the knee, baby steps here. So that's gonna be our first movement. Our second movement, we're gonna do some overhead squats here. So feel free, if you'd like, you can leave the mini band on your knees for this. I'm not sure. I don't want to leave mine on. Feel free to leave that on. And then this is where we're gonna use the resistance band, because we're doing overhead squats. So feet are gonna be hip width apart, hands overhead. The resistance band is gonna help us get some tension here in the upper body. We're keeping our shoulder blades pinned down and back together, so squeezing that orange. And we're gonna squat down, keep that chest up, knees over the second toe, push ground away and come back up. So we have that tension in the band, standing on up. So that's gonna be our second movement. And then we're gonna go ahead and do some banded marches here. So we're gonna go nice and slow. The band is gonna be around our feet, around our toes. We're gonna take that knee, bring it up and back down, and then the other side. So from this angle here, we are going to be using our hip flexors and our core to pull up. So it's gonna help us actually strengthen our hip flexors, which is great because sometimes they're tight, or and they're really, in reality, they're just weak and they need some more work. So after that, we're gonna go ahead and do single leg Romanian deadlifts. So we're gonna do one leg at a time. So for this, we're going to sink into our hip, slight bend in the knee, push the hips back, extending that back leg, and then push the ground away. So keeping that core nice and tight, making sure that we are focusing on pushing our hips back. Our headlights on our hips are gonna blind the ground. So if you see from this angle, I am staying straight on with the ground. We're not opening up. So staying straight, push the ground away. So we're gonna do all on one side and then all on the other side. If the stability is not working for you today, not a problem. I might do this halfway through as well. Feel free to drop that foot on the ground, keeping that knee bent on the toe, and then push the hips back, only pushing through our working leg. So from this angle, this leg, not using it, only using my right leg. So that's gonna be our circuit for today. So we're gonna go ahead and get started with our warm up, and we're gonna do some quad rocks here with our adductor stretch, get our hips nice and warmed up. So hands and knees, one foot out to the side like a kickstand, keep that pinky toe on the ground. We're gonna inhale, rock back, and exhale, come forward. Inhale, rock back, and exhale, forward. And one more, rocking back and exhaling forward. All right, we're gonna go ahead and do the same thing on the other side. So bring that knee up underneath the hip and then sticking the opposite leg out to the side. Again, keep that pinky toe on the ground. Inhale, rock back. Exhale, come forward. Inhale, rock back. Exhale, forward. And last one, rocking back and exhaling forward. And after the last one, we can go ahead and bring that knee back up underneath the hip. And then we're going to do a few planks of pikes here, opening up our back and our shoulders, also the calves. So on the hands and toes, we're going to go ahead and bring our hips up towards the ceiling. We can pedal those calves a little bit. So drive one heel into the ground at a time, opening that up. That's going to help with our squats. And we can go ahead and go back to plank and pushing back up to pike. And back to plank, and last one, pushing up. And when we're ready, we'll go ahead and walk our hands towards our feet. Even decompress our spine a little bit. And we can go ahead and slowly kind of stand up. And we're ready to rock and roll. So we're getting ready. All of these mini band movements we can also do without any mini bands. So like if you don't have any, all good. It's not required, but it will help with just adding a little bit to these movements. So we're getting ready. Mini band side steps, 3, 2, 1, and go. So getting our mini band around our knees. And then, like I said, we're not coming any closer than hip width with our feet. So our feet are staying here. Baby step out, baby step in. Lead with the knee. We want to also be like ducks on water. So our upper body isn't moving. So if you notice, not dipping, not moving anything, just move the legs. Upper body stays stable. Lead with that knee. We want to feel this in the glutes. Might feel it a little bit in the quads as well. But it's always good to work on side to side movement here. 3, 2, 1. All right. So we have overhead squats next. So again, you can leave that mini band over your knees if you'd like. And then we're going to take a band overhead as well. 3, 2, 1. So if you only have one band, I wanted to use the band in the upper body, but if you only have the mini band, feel free to just leave that on the knees. Core is tight. The hands over the head. We're going to have to keep our balance, right? So I want us to also hold a little bit closer. We want a nice tension here. I just hit myself in the face with the handle, coming down and back up. So this one could be potentially a little bit more difficult if our overhead mobility is not great, but that's why we're doing this. We're going to get better at it. Knees tracking over the second toe. 3, 2, 1. All right, go ahead and bring that mini band down to our feet. We're going to stand on it. It's going to be around the toes, and we're going to march. 3, 2, 1. So one leg at a time coming up. We're lifting it intentionally. It does help if we exhale as we lift up. Pulling the band up with our hips. Great job. Like I said in our demos here, this is going to help us strengthen the hip flexors, which I know my hip is pretty tight and I always could use more strength for that. 3, 2, 1. All right. Oh, that last one didn't feel so good. All right. Next up, single leg Romanian deadlift. So we can go ahead and pick our leg here. 3, 2, 1. So if we're doing full ones, sinking into that hip, push the hips back, push the ground away. The minute our hips stop moving back, the movement's done. So my hips are done. I don't have to go all the way to the ground. When we start doing that, that's when we aggravate the low back. We really only will use the low back once our chest goes past the hips. So being mindful of how far forward our chest is coming. Drive those heels into the ground. We want to feel it in the glutes. Keeping that core tight, so bringing each side of our core together. And then if we're just doing a little bit of a kickstand here, pick your leg. 3, 2, 1. All right, great job. We're gonna do the same thing on the other leg. And then we're gonna start back at the top with our mini band side steps. 3, 2, 1. Sink into the hip. Push the hips back. And then push the ground away. If you're struggling with balance, for some reason my right side is not jamming with me right now, that's okay. Go ahead and put your foot down. But we also want to make sure we're moving nice and slow. So it's really easy when we don't have any weight or anything to kind of fly through it. We want to feel our muscles working. So what muscles are we trying to work right now? Our glutes and our hamstrings. So if we're not feeling it in the glutes and the hamstrings, we need to slow it down. We need to focus on that mind to muscle connection. 3, 2, 1. I don't think my hips got back far enough on that one. All right, mini band, side steps here. So we're getting ready. Right over the knees here with the mini band. 3, 2, 1. That did not work out the way I wanted it to. All right, so I'm gonna go this way real quick. Slight bend of the knees, hips are back in our base position, baby steps. So core is tight, our chest is open, our back is flat. I'm stepping out, leading with the knee, but not going any closer than hip width. So we're starting and ending at hip width. So we're coming out a little bit, in a little bit. We want to, again, drive that knee out. That's what the band is there for, to remind us that. That's what is going to help us work on our glutes and our hips for power. 3, 2, 1. All right, next up we have overhead squats. You can either leave the band around your knees, hold a band with your arms. You're getting ready. 3, 2, 1. I'm going to fold this in half this time. There we go. All right, so we have our resistance in that band overhead. We're coming down, feet are hip width apart, toes forward, knees past the second toe. Trying to keep our shoulder blades squeezing that orange. Even if it's just like the lower part of the shoulder blades, I would say we should be squeezing that orange because we want them to be down and back. The overhead part is going to help us really have to use our core to stay in that position that we want to get. So at the bottom, we want those nice, this position as low as we can here. 3, 2, 1. All right. Next up, we have our mini band marches. We're going nice and slow. So we're standing on the mini band with our toes, the mini band's around the toes. 3, 2, 1. So keeping those feet as close to hip width as we can. Driving up and back down. So we exhale as we come up. Trying to stay nice and tall, wear that logo proud. That core is tight. That's where exhaling when we drive up helps us really engage the core. And this is a perfect example of the little extremities, so our arms or our legs, pulling from the core to do the movement, right? So our hips and our legs are pulling on our core to get that knee up. 3, 2, 1. Right, I love those. So we have our single leg Romanian deadlifts coming up next. So we're doing all on one leg, all on the other leg. 3, 2, 1. All right, so I'm going to switch to the kickstand this round, partially because we did a lot of single leg Romanian deadlifts this morning in class. It happened to be our lower body pull day in sports performance this morning. I also personally did RDLs and trained hamstrings in my workout before I taught this morning. So always being mindful of how your body feels. Really, I always say this on Fridays, you know, it's the end of the week. We've probably worked out a few times, especially if we take all the 12 o'clock classes. 3, 2, 1. So we've worked out a lot. Our body's tired. We've worked a lot. Our mind is tired. Listen to your body. Push when you can. Pull back when you need to. 3, 2, 1. So if this was, the only thing I was doing today, then yes, I probably would really push for more of the full single leg. But in reality, my body's telling me no. So I got to listen, make sure I'm being mindful of that, honoring what my body is saying and needing, and still getting the work in. I'm still activating my muscles. I'm still working, but in a different way than doing it a full single leg. So that's my little recovery spiel here. Great job. 3, 2, 1. All right, last round coming up, and then we'll do a quick stretch and then some breathing. So we got our mini band side steps. Ready, around the knee. 3, 2, 1. All right. Lead with the knee. Oops. Another note on recovery though, because it is a long weekend this weekend. So if you didn't already know, we have no classes on Monday the 20th, and we're also not open Monday the 20th. So that's this upcoming Monday in June. So you can always do a workout on YouTube that we have posted. So you can still get your workout in, or maybe you take Monday as an extra rest day. And then next week, we push extra hard in all of those classes. 3, 2, 1. All right, getting ready for squats, overhead squats. So you can either have one, the mini band around your knees, the mini band around your hands. 3, 2, 1. Or a band around your knees and hands. So whatever feels good for you today. Trying to stay as upright as we can. Feet are hip width apart. Knees over the second toe. Core is nice and tight. Exhale as we come up. Great job. And then another note about next week. Y'all are going to see me every day at 12 o'clock. So if you're going to take lots of 12 o'clock classes next week, you will see me every day. But then you'll start to see Jaden a little bit more at 12 o'clock. 3, 2, 1. All right, we have our marches next. So getting that mini band around our toes. Not coming out. All right, 3, 2, and 1. So mini bands around the toes. We're marching. Or even like around the center of your foot. Or the arch, whatever it's called. Driving those knees up, using that core, but also our hip flexors. Which if you didn't know, our hip flexors are actually 2 muscles, not just one. And it comes all the way up on the back of the pelvis. So if you do have tight hips and you want a different way to stretch out your hip flexor, let me know, come in the fitness center and I'll kind of show you how to do that. 3, 2, 1. I only say come in the fitness center because you do need a weight and a lacrosse ball. So I can show you that anytime, or I can make a video on it. Let me know if you want that. All right, single leg RDLs, 3, 2, 1. So we're either extending that leg back or we have our other foot on the ground. If you notice, my chest isn't even really making it to parallel because for some reason, sometimes if I do go to parallel, my low back kicks in. So I like to go a little bit above, like keeping that core nice and tight, really driving that heel of the working leg into the ground. We're doing great. We're going to do this leg and then the other leg, and then we're going to do a quick stretch and we're going to breathe for a little bit. 3, 2, 1. All right. Got the last leg coming up, and then we're gonna be on the ground on our backs for the rest of class, which I forgot to grab a mat. Whoops, all good. 3, 2, 1. Push those hips back, push the ground away. Great job. Really drive through the heel. Finishing strong. Great job. So we're going to be on our backs. We're going to do a little bit of figure 4. And then we're going to do my favorite breathing cadence, 6, 4, 10. So I know last week we did box breathing. So it's going to be a little bit different. We're still going to hold in the middle. 3, 2, 1. And that is it for the circuit. So go ahead, grab a sip of water if you need it. And then we'll go ahead and make our way onto our backs. And like I said, we're going to do the figure 4 stretch first. So we're going to go ahead, let me get a little closer. We're going to go ahead and keep the left foot on the ground. Cross that right ankle over the left knee. If that tension feels good, go ahead and stay there. If you need a little bit extra tension, go ahead and interlace those fingers and grab either behind the knee or in front of the shin and pull towards the chest. We're breathing nice and deep into the belly. We're going to feel that stretch right on the outside of the right leg right now, since the right ankle is above the left knee. So we're really going to feel it on this side, but you can't see where my hand is pointing. We're going to do 2 more deep breaths here. And on the exhale, our next exhale, we can go ahead and release out of that. And then we're going to go ahead and do the same thing on the other side when we're ready. So we're going to take the left ankle above the right knee. If that tension feels good and you press on the knee, go ahead and stay there. If you need a little bit extra tension, go ahead and interlace those fingers or grab either behind the knee or in front of the shin and pull that knee towards the chest. And do a few deep breaths here. We're going to feel it right underneath the glute of the leg that is crossed. Going to help us open up our low back, our glutes, our hamstrings. And it can also help us open up the front of the hips. So sometimes if that piriformis muscle that we're stretching out, if that gets too tight, it pulls on the glutes, pulls on the back, on the hamstrings, and inevitably it pulls on our hip flexors. So this can help kind of release all of that tension. We're going to do 1 more deep breath. And as we exhale, we're going to gently release that foot back to the ground. And then we'll go ahead and lay flat on our backs here. And we're going to go ahead and put the right hand over our stomach, left hand over the heart. And so the reason I like to do this is because it shows us where we're breathing. So if we take a normal breath, so we're just going to do a regular breath. So take a nice big deep, or a nice just inhale and exhale. And if your left hand was the one that went up and down, that means we're taking really shallow breaths and we're not giving our bodies the full potential. We're not giving our body everything we need. So we want to breathe with the diaphragm. And so that's where on that breath that I took, I don't know if anyone noticed, but my right hand raised, my left hand stayed the same. So that's what I want us to focus on right now when we're breathing. And so we're going to practice just a deep inhale. So we're going to go in through the nose, into the belly. So breathing in. And exhaling through the mouth. We're going to do another practice one. So nice big deep belly breath. And exhaling through the mouth. All right, so now that we did a few practice ones, we're really going to practice even more. So we're going to do 6, 4, 10. And this cadence is really good for moments of stress or anxiety. It's also really good at getting our body from our fight or flight to our rest and digest. And so this is a great way to get ready before a meal, really calming the body down before bed. Like I love doing this one before bed too. So we're gonna inhale for 6 seconds. So we're gonna inhale into the belly. So we got inhale. Now we're gonna hold and exhale. All right, so I'm gonna go ahead and count this time. So we're gonna do an inhale, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Hold, 2, 3, 4. Exhale, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Inhale, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Hold, 2, 3, 4. Exhale, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So I'm gonna be quiet for a little bit. I want us to get into our groove of this. So try and keep that same pace. Now, exhaling for 10 seconds can be a little daunting, but the more you do it, the better you will get at it. And the more you breathe into your belly, the more capacity you'll have in your lungs to exhale for longer. So we're gonna go ahead and do one more deep breath. And with our last exhale we do, I want us to let that body just fully relax, sink into the ground. Release that tension we feel in our bodies and in our minds. And when we're ready, we can start to wake the body up. So wiggle our fingers and toes, moving our head side to side. And feel free to lay on the ground on your backs, or you can gently make your way to your side and return to a seated, kneeling, or standing position. That's going to be all the time for today's class. So thank you all so much for joining me. Like I said, we have no classes or anything on Monday, but you can check everything out on YouTube. We will start at the Summer Shred Challenge on Slack on Monday. I have a post scheduled for 9 o'clock, so keep an eye out there. You can still let us know if you want to sign up at any time. So we'll have signups open, so you can find that on Slack or on SharePoint. But thank you all for joining me. Great job. Have a great long weekend, and I'll see y'all next week.